Hello, everyone. We're back for another installment of the Dallas interview series. I am joined by Seicoe from SSG, and you're the newest player to SSG. But I want to start by asking you: do you still feel like the new guy, or do you feel like you're embedded in the team now?
Actually, I feel like I'm pretty embedded already. Like, and it was pretty fast. I felt at home like within like the first 2 weeks already, which is I guess kind of surprising, right? Because I kept hearing about like the big five in London
The Fab
and how
Five.
yeah, exactly, and how like no one is able to like fit in, or squeeze in. But I think me and Astro have done a pretty good job.
Did you have Astro always talks about him having to get up to date on all the code words and all the calls that the original London core used? Did you have the same experience?
Yeah, kind of. Like you just get caught off guard, when you just hear like com zone in the beginning. You don't know what the fuck a com zone is.
Just looking around. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And since playing with these guys, I don't know how much you've really played with many of these guys before, but what are some of the best bits now playing with this new group of players?
Probably just that everyone speaks English like very well. Coming from a mixed team in New York, that's like pretty refreshing. Like everyone understands every call. Everyone can speak their mind. There's no language barrier, so that's probably like the best part of it all. And I guess like everyone is like friends with each other. So yeah.
And what about the boss man then? First time working with Chris, I think. So what is different about him than maybe some of the previous coaches you've worked with?
I like the way Chris does his reviews. Like he does it like in video styles, so you can watch it on your own time. That's very helpful, especially since I'm still in the military right now, so I can like even watch it in the military sometimes instead of like rushing home, then having to watch the video, then scrim. So I can just do it on my own time. But also Chris like, knows a lot about the game, like on a macro and more on a macro basis. And usually, like my past coaches have more been like focused on the micro instead of the macro. So that's a nice change.
And I want to get your take on the meta, because it seems we're getting a little bit of a teaser of it in Face It, in teams running more Mauga, more Venture, more Farah. Do you feel like the meta's kind of just wide open now in terms of people can play anything?
Yeah, I think you summed it up pretty well. It feels like every team is doing something else. Like some Koreans are playing dive, some are playing Mauga, It's quite like it's map dependent, but I think any comp can work. So you'll see a lot of diversity in Dallas, I think.
And do you think where the current meta is, that's something that suits you and SSG?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Hadi obviously being able to play all tanks is insane. So we can just swap to whatever comp, and I think we've shown that we were able to play like multiple comps now. Not like London in the past, just sticking on Rhine. We can play Ram at a high level. We can play Dive, and we can even play Mauga, as you saw in the official against Ents. So I think we're prepared for all cases.
Well, yeah, you kind of got to see a bit of everything in the SSG one. So you guys on the Ram, the Mauga, the Winston, or with like success in different places on all of them.
We actually played every comp, I think, in that game. So, yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, because obviously you made several Venture appearances in that one. How are you finding playing the new hero? How strong is she really? Is she a niche pick, or is she actually pretty viable?
I think Venture is pretty strong, especially into like BAPCAS. Like it's so hard for them to play into Venture, and Venture's just insanely good. Like it has like a really annoying hitbox, and you just go underground, then you just slam them in there. They can't really shoot you, and then you just drill them, like out of the lamp even.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty good into BAPCAS, but like less good into dive. So it's just depending on the comp, I think.
And you've obviously, everyone's sort of learning this new hero at that, I guess, the same time. What do you think you found are the most important things when you're playing Venture in terms of like what's your job and the best way to get value?
Probably just using your CDs correctly. So knowing like when you go underground that you have your drill up when you jump out. So you can either dash out with the drill or you can stay in, if your team fully commits. So it's just using your cooldowns correctly, which I think is like, transitioned over nicely from Tracer, because you kind of have to do the same. You can't just triple blink in like with no recall or something like that. So I think in that scenario, it's pretty similar to those heroes.
And then I wanted to get the sort of Scrimbucks, essentially, because especially now the Korean teams are over, so it feels like most of the teams going to Dallas have all played each other in some form. obviously you played against a lot of these Korean players previously in Overwatch League, and I think there's a sort of sentiment amongst some people that maybe the Korean teams are just going to come over and blow everyone out of the water. Do you feel that is the case after Scrim event recently, or do you feel actually maybe Dallas is quite an open event in terms of who can win?
Yeah, I think that's pretty funny that everyone thinks that, but I guess it makes sense looking at like the past years of Overwatch League. But surprisingly now, I think it's very open. Like we've been losing to Ents recently, but then we beat them in the official. And like scrimming these Korean teams like Falcons, we've been doing extremely well. So I'm not worried about the Korean teams at all. But Crazy Raccoons obviously very good, but I think Falcons not so good at all. But and yeah, like if we end up playing Falcons, I'm very confident we're gonna win.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very confident. No doubt in my mind.
And then I wanted to ask you a little about that one as well, because with Major, we're also going to be using the Asia ban system, and we can talk about the actual like map bans and or the map picks, maybe a better way to say it. But there's also going to be a predetermined map at the start of every series, and if you do get Falcons in that upper bracket final that most people expect, the predetermined map is Ilios. So how do you feel about, I guess, the idea that the first map's going to be predetermined in these series?
I mean, I guess it's a little bit of an advantage to Korea because they already had this system before, and like EU and NA didn't. But I think overall it's fine. You know, like mentioned in the Uncoachable podcast on YouTube by ChrisTFer, I think it was. It's just a better viewing experience overall. But I think for us against Falcons, it's okay because I think London has always been good at counter diving. And then Ilios, you know, who knows? Maybe we pull out the dive. Who knows, guys? But that's all I'm gonna say for now. But I'm very confident we're gonna beat Falcons if we do play them. But I think Ents might beat them. So, but that would be unfortunate if they do, because I really want to play Falcons and prove to everyone that, you know, SSG can keep up with the big boys as well.
Yeah, well, you say that, but to be fair, every time you play Ents, it always seems to be like a great match. So I'm sure no one will have too many complaints.
Yeah, that's also true. But I think, yeah, cross region is probably more fun to watch, right? Than the same matches over and over.
Do you think this new pick system is good for your team in terms of, see, like, compared to like the ban system where maybe you end up playing the sort of like middle maps a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly, because it goes both ways, right? Because they can pick dive maps against us, like fucking Jib, maybe. But then we can also pick a map that favors us. So I'm not sure. It's like a 50-50.
And has it changed your preparation much in terms of, you know, with this system, maybe like, especially for the Korean teams, the expectation is very much they're going to try and take most teams to a dive direction if they can. Has it sort of changed your preparation then that you're sort of having to try and like guess what they think you're weak on and try and fix those issues?
Not really, but I mean, we have Chris, and you know how Chris operates, and like knowing that we can pick a certain map is, I think, very favorable to us, because Chris will just crack down like every single scenario and make sure we're prepared for every single scenario. So yeah, I think it's fine for us.
Yeah, I remember in London we would always do like a checklist for like whenever we'd go into like a tournament of just like, here are all the maps. Do we know what we're doing? Do we know how to play it? Does it feel okay? And then just sort of go through one by one, cross it all off. Yeah, exactly. Make sure we're sorted on everything.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask a little bit about the mindset, because Chris has talked a lot in the past about how you kind of went through this mentality shift between maybe stage 1 and stage 2 in terms of, oh, we're actually the favourites in a lot of these games. We need to play more confident, more willing to clutch, everything like this. Do you need to shift that mindset now you're going to Dallas and suddenly you're not like an outright favourite as a lot of other teams of like elite caliber?
Honestly, I don't think it matters too much. I think the loss we suffered in stage 1 like just improved all of us on like a mental basis. Like it proved to us, you know, like we can lose to these teams, so we have to prove that we are the better team and we are the better players. And I think you saw afterwards, like we're pretty much unbeatable, like mentally as well. Like in grand finals stage 2, we were down 3-1, but still we brought it back. In the Faceit game against Ents again, we were down 1-0. We got full capped on Hollywood, but we still brought it back. So I think that stage 1 loss really like helped us improve and is going to make us unbeatable going into the future.
Well, yeah, I think you even saw it in like a lot of your even the Ataraxia game, right, where you had to hold on Icon World all of a sudden. You were staring down like whatever it was, like a 2-3 minute time bank, like 2 or 3 fights.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And yeah,
we were also down one map, right? And then we got held on second, and we still brought it back. So yeah, I mean, I truly believe that stage 1 loss was necessary for this team, and it just improved us.
And then I want to ask a little bit as well, because originally everyone thought going into Dallas that it would be the Korean teams who would get screwed over by sleep schedules and jet lag and this, but all the Korean teams have made their way out early. So it's actually now, well, you, Ents, and I Twisted as well, who are going to be suffering the most jet lag or the most to adapt. How do you feel about that situation?
I mean, I just want to start by saying Twisted is fucked either way. Even if they were to go there like 3 weeks early, they'd still lose because unfortunate circumstances, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the Koreans team did go there 2 weeks early, and we arrived there, like 1 day before. So I guess that is a disadvantage, like a slight disadvantage. But honestly, like, fuck it, like, we'll be fine.
And then I want to ask about your experience on LAN individually, because will this be the biggest event you've played at so far?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, if you count Saudi E-Leagues as a LAN, I guess I played that, but there's not really a crowd there, and you're like in a box, you can't hear outside noise. So yeah, I mean, this is like my first proper LAN, but yeah, so I'm excited for that.
Have any of the other players or Chris or anyone talk to you a little bit about like what to expect or anything to keep in mind when you go on like stage and play for the first time?
I'm not sure. What is there to keep in mind? It's just playing Overwatch,
Or just about handling, what they say about when the lights get bright, sometimes it can affect people differently.
I think I'm over that. Spending time in the military, I think I'm used to intense stress situations,
Yeah.
So
a bit more adversity than a few people watching. Okay, then.
I'm pretty stoic now.
So then I want to ask then about the actual bracket. So your first game is Students of the Game, who I don't think a lot of people have very high in their rankings, but what do you anticipate in that first game? Are you worried at all, or do you think it will be a breeze?
I mean, it should be a breeze, right? But I mean, you never really know with these teams. It's always, I mean, I prefer playing Falcons over Students of the Game, just because of the underdog mentality, right? Like we should probably lose the Falcons game, so there's no like loss even if we lose. But if we lose to Students of the Game, it would be like a tragedy, right? It would be like losing to Ex-Oblivion in stage 1.
That never happens, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be fine. I'm not worried.
And then, if I ask like what you would hope for the event, you'd probably say obviously win it all is the goal for most teams. But is there a sort of minimum you'd be happy with? Like even if you weren't able to win it all, you sort of we at least got top 3, top 2, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, what I've, I guess, envisioned for now is we beat Students of the Game and then we beat Falcons, and then after that, I'm satisfied. But obviously, I want to win it all, and I truly think we can.
And then, is there a particular team you're really hoping to play or hoping to run into that you really want to get one over, or you really want to beat or prove you're better than?
Yeah, Falcons. I really want to play Falcons, and I don't have a single doubt in my mind that we're gonna beat them. So that's why I would be pretty sad if Ents beat them first, because I want to beat them.
You want to be the ones to send them to the lower bracket?
I want to be the ones to beat Falcons.
All right, beautiful. Thank you very much, Seicoe. I appreciate your time. Best of luck to you and the team, and safe travels to the event.
Thank you.